All right, so we are on page 453 of Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play, Studying God as Mother, the Divine Feminine. And we've started a section, Mother of the Eccentrics and the Crazy. I think all of us can attest to this truth. That mother loves the eccentrics, and the crazy, and nurtures us along despite our situations, which is a beautiful thing. All right. And so one day we start off, she just jumps right in here. One day a woman bit Holy Mother's big toe while taking leave of her. The mother cried aloud, "Goodness gracious, what kind of devotion is this? If you want to touch my feet, why not just do so? Why bite the toe?" The woman said, "I want you to remember me." "Indeed," the mother replied, "I have never before seen such a novel way of making me remember a devotee." Another time, a male devotee, while saluting her, struck her little toe with his forehead with such force that the mother cried out in pain. When those present asked the devotee the reason for this shameful conduct, he replied, "I purposely gave her pain while saluting her so that she would remember me as long as the pain lasts." All right. Anybody have any insight on this? I mean, is this a thing that two people in a row would hurt her feet so that she could remember them? I mean, because presumably you'd want to be remembered for a good thing. You wouldn't want to be remembered for inflicting pain on the Divine Mother, at least. Anyway, so I guess I don't know what to say about that. An interesting form of devotion that wants to be remembered. In 1909, Sharadananda went to Jairambati to partition the family property among the brothers of Holy Mother who were also there. A young man wanted to see the mother, so Swami Sharadananda asked his attendant, Brahmachari Gyanananda, later Swami Bhumananda, to take him to her. He bowed down to the mother, who was then standing on her veranda. He then began to pull her feet so that they would touch his chest. Luckily, the mother was holding a pole in her cottage, otherwise she would have fallen down. Instantly, Gyanananda grabbed that crazy fellow's hand and took him out. When Sharadananda learned of this bizarre incident, he remarked, "Swami Yogananda never bowed down to the mother while she was standing. When she left a place, he would take the dust from that spot and put it on his head." There was no end to the bizarre demands placed on the Holy Mother, yet she unflinchingly fulfilled her devotees' wishes. A man came to her in Jairambati and said that he would not drink water until he had worshipped her feet. Holy Mother was working in the kitchen. She left her work and stood on a low wooden seat on the veranda so that the devotee could offer flowers at her feet. Then she rushed back to the kitchen to finish preparing food for the devotees. This is this is how Mother teaches, just these crazy little scenes, but the amount of patience that she had and indulgence, for these folks. She didn't get angry in any of these situations, didn't send the person away, didn't scold them, just was bewildered, but went on, just continued on. A devotee named Umesh Datta wanted the mother's rice prasad, which he had planned to dry in the sun and carry home with him after 3 days. The mother gave him a plate of her prasad and asked him to watch it so that it would not be eaten by crows. The devotee put the rice in the sun in front of the mother's room and said that he would be back soon. He went to the guest room for a smoke and then fell asleep, forgetting the rice. At 3 o'clock, after his nap, he remembered the rice, went to the house, and found the mother seated there. She told him, "My son, I'm seated here lest the crows eat this rice." Ashamed, he apologized. "Mother, I'm sorry that you did not get any rest today." One day, a devotee grabbed Holy Mother's feet and said, "Mother, promise that you will appear before me at the time of my death." Mother replied, "I shall pray to the Master so that you can have his vision." When the devotee was persistent with no other alternative, she said, "All right, my son, let it be so." Right? Let it be so. Even that is gracious. One afternoon in Jairambati, the mother was lying on a mat on the veranda. When Brahmachari Bharata came, she indignantly said, "You boys went out on errands, and no one was here to look after me. An old man came with X. When I saw him, I went inside the room and sat on my cot. He was anxious to take the dust of my feet, and I forbade him. He forcefully took the dust of my feet. Since then, I've had a burning sensation in my feet as well as a terrible stomach ache. I've washed my feet 4 times, and still that burning is there. If you had been here, I could have signaled you to stop him. In Calcutta, they are strict about my visitors. All sorts of people come to me. You boys are young, so you do not understand the nature of these people." Often, devotees made unreasonable demands upon the Holy Mother. Some would demand a vision of God or liberation. She always succeeded in soothing their restless minds. Once in Udbodhan house, the mother had just finished her daily worship when an unknown devotee appeared with some flowers, evidently to worship her feet. At the sight of a stranger, she sat on the bed with her feet hanging and wrapped herself with a cotton shawl, as was her habit. The man made an elaborate genuflection, offered flowers at her feet, and began to perform breathing exercises and other rituals, as one does before an image. Everyone was busy with their duties, and no one was near the mother. This went on for a long time, and Holy Mother began to perspire heavily under the shawl. Golap Ma saw the devotee offering the flowers at Holy Mother's feet and then left to do some work. When Golap Ma returned quite a while later, she saw that the devotee was still seated in front of the mother. Realizing the mother's predicament, she rushed in to rescue her. Pulling the man up by the hand, she said in her usual loud voice, "Do you think that she's a wooden image that you could awaken her spirit by pranayama and other rituals? You have no common sense. Don't you see the mother is getting hot and is very uncomfortable?" The greater number of disciples and devotees, the more Holy Mother's troubles increased. But the compassionate mother was the embodiment of forbearance and forgiveness. She took the pain and suffering of her children upon herself. Sometimes she lamented, "Master, I can't bear any more burdens." But she did forbear more. Satyendranath, Shorjendra Majumdar's brother, left this eyewitness account. Some afternoons I was entrusted with the task of lining up the devotees who wanted to visit the mother in Udbodhan house. Some eccentrics pestered the mother. I saw an elderly man crying loudly and bumping his head in front of the mother. I noticed another person begin to tell his life story to her without caring that other people were waiting in line. Again, someone put his head on the feet of the mother and remained there, motionless. Another day, a man lay down in front of her and requested her to place her foot on his chest and awaken his consciousness right then. It was extremely difficult to make them understand or to stop their importunate demands. Sometimes I was irritated, observing their childish emotions, and at other times I could not control my laughter, watching their immature behavior. One day, when I joked about those people in front of the mother, she said to me, "My son, when you grow up, you will understand how much pain these distressed people carry in their hearts. You are not a mother." Wow, there's the statement. Because that's how I feel about it too, reading about these things. I'm like, what? You nuts? She needed someone there to box their ears and to, drag them out by their feet. But here mother is saying, you don't understand the pain that people carry in their hearts. So this is that compassion, that empathy. I think that mother is really definitely trying to show me, but show all of us, that these are difficult times. People are going through difficult things, and we should expand our compassion and our understanding in that regard. This notion that you are not a mother, how seriously she takes that that she's our mother. Wow. On another occasion, I was in Jairambati and I met a younger man on the street there. He had walked the whole night from Vishnupur, about 28 miles. His figure was strong and stout. He had bushy hair and his eyes were red like a hibiscus. He asked me, "Can you tell me where the mother's house is?" I told him, "Please come with me. I'm also staying there." When I asked his name and dwelling place, he laughed and replied, "I have no name, no lineage, and no home. I am the sacrifice in the mother's worship, and I am waiting for the offering." I was dumbfounded, observing the nature of this strange devotee. He was not mad. He bowed down to the mother, and she asked him to take a bath in the pond. Immediately he dipped in the pond, and then mother served him puffed rice and jalebies. Sitting near the mother, he began to eat like a child. The mother caressed his body with her hand and said, "My son, now drink some water." She escorted him to her shrine, and I left. I don't know what transpired there, but I understood the mother initiated him. After having lunch and prasad, the devotee fell into a deep sleep. Later, the mother told me, "This is his last birth. Such a person becomes desperate like this." The man and I went for a walk in the afternoon and became close friends. His nature was then gentle and his voice was calm. He said, "Today is my new birth, my last birth, too. I could not sacrifice my life for the motherland doing some heroic deed, so I offered myself to the mother of the universe. I have no more distress or agony." Afterwards, I met him a few times in Udbodhan House. Once that young man and I went to do plague relief in Munkir, Bihar, with the monks of the Ramakrishna order. Seldom have I seen such a dutiful, humble, and untiring worker. While serving others, that terrible disease infected him. Just before his death, he opened his eyes and said, "The mother has come. Let me go." After returning to Calcutta, I gave this news to the mother, and she remained motionless for some time, with her eyes cast down. It's interesting to me how all of these interesting people and these odd circumstances kind of start circling around the master and the mother and even Vivekananda, these people showing up at just the right time, people coming for specific needs that are taken care of, people meeting them. It's amazing to see the play of the divine work, that if we stay true, if we stay in our heart, if you as a devotee stay here and worship the mother, that she'll bring the world to you as you need the world, and she'll bring the world to you as the world needs you. That if you really want to serve, turn yourself into a listener to the divine, turn yourself into a quiet shrine or temple inside. The mother brings these people to you, and then you just see them once. You play just your little part, send this person there, say this to that person, hand this person to that person, or as it goes. But how interesting it is to see how mother plays like this, and with them on earth all at once like that, to see all of these people coming and going around them, as really the universe is just making its rounds, just carrying on its will as it does. Holy Mother could see inside human beings and knew their potential. Gyan, later Swami Gyanananda, was a daredevil vagabond boy of East Bengal who came to Calcutta. He knew Arupananda and through him went to bow down to the mother in Udbodhan House. After some months, he went to Jairambati and met her there. She received this youth and asked him to stay at her place. Gyan recalled. One afternoon, the mother asked me, "Gyan, do you go to bathe in the Amador River?" "Yes, I do," I replied. The mother then said, "Tomorrow, You go a little early in the morning for your bath. There is a yellow flowering tree on the bank of the river. Collect a basket of flowers from that tree for the master's worship. Saying, "All right, mother," I went back to my room with the basket. The next morning, when I went to the mother with the flowers, she sat for worship in front of the master's picture. She signaled to me to sit on an asana next to her. I sat there quietly. After finishing her worship, she asked me to come a little closer, and she gave me a mantra and a few spiritual instructions. Pointing to the master's picture, she said, "Bow down to him." As I was obstinate by nature, I argued, "Why should I bow down to him? I don't know him." The mother looked at me and commanded sternly, "I say, bow down to him. You don't know him. He is all in all. He is the teacher of the universe, the guru of all beings." Again, I protested, "How can he be my guru? You have given me the mantra, so now you are my guru." Interrupting me, the mother said, "I am no one's guru. I am the mother of all. He is the only guru." Again, I said, "How can you be my mother? My mother is at home and she's still alive." "I am the mother," she said. "Look at me closely. See whether I am that mother of yours or not." Stupefied, I saw that my biological mother was seated in front of me. My body was thrilled with awe. I fell at her feet, saying, "Mother, mother." All my arguments ceased, and I surrendered at her feet forever. She gave me this knowledge, that she was not only the mantra guru, she was my own mother, the mother of all beings, and the mother of the universe. Wow. It's quite a beautiful thing right there. There's a very, very special thing hidden there for us. Not something to do in a group, but individually to read that to yourself and to take that to heart. That's a very special thing. One day in Jairambati, Nalini saw the mother clearing away a devotee's dirty plate. She remarked, "My goodness, aunt, you're cleaning away the defiled food of people of all castes." The mother calmly replied, "People of all castes are my children. Her love unified the high and the low, the rich and the poor, regardless of caste." That's a beautiful thing to understand right there, that her love unified the high and the low, the rich and the poor, regardless of caste. It's a good thing to remember in just always, actually, but especially in these times. That love is the only thing that binds people together. Love is the only thing that unifies people. And that in these times where for some reason we've chosen to make everything so provocative, the news is designed to disturb, and just watching things on the net are always designed to disturb, to provoke, and and politics always seems to do the same thing. It's important that you and I remember, because we're the ones responsible for really being here, and being representative of what we are as people, as human beings. It's just very important that we learn to love like this, that we learn to have hearts like this, be inspired by our own mother to have hearts like this. Swami Vireshwarananda recalled, "One day at Jairambati, after my meal, I was about to carry away my dirty plate, but the mother took my hand and stopped me. She then took the plate herself, and I said, 'Well, why should you do this, mother? I can wash it.' The mother replied, 'How little I am doing for you. A child, as you knows, soils the lap of the mother and shows its temper tantrums, but the mother calmly does her duty. You are highly cherished, even by the gods. Once in Udbodhan house, a woman came to see the mother with her baby daughter. The baby lay down next to the mother and her blanket and soiled it. Embarrassed, the baby's mother took the blanket and wanted to wash it, but the mother took the blanket from her and washed it herself. When the baby's mother objected, the mother said, "Why should I not wash it? Is she not my own?" Gradually, the number of devotees began to increase, and sometimes they came to Udbodhan house at odd hours. They would unburden their problems to the mother, and she would guide them. She had very little rest. Observing her inconvenience one day, Golap Ma lovingly reproached her. "Mother, what is the matter with you? You are too lenient. You extend your feet to whoever approaches you and calls you mother." The mother replied, "What can I do, Golap? As a mother, I cannot withhold myself if someone seeks my help." Although the mother was a divine being, she acted exactly like a human mother. She could not utter the monastic names of the masters and her disciples. Rather, she would call them by their pre-monastic names: Naren, Rakal, Yogan, Sharat, Babaram, Krishnalal, Rasbihari, and so on. When she was asked why, she replied, "You see, I'm a mother. It hurts me to call them by their monastic names. It is true, a son may be a president or a judge or a monk, but to the mother, he remains a son." One day, Vishweshwarananda asked, "Mother, how do you look upon us?" "I look upon all of you as Narayana," Holy Mother replied. The Swami said, "Mother, we are your sons. If you consider us to be Narayana, you can no longer think of us as your sons." The mother calmly replied, "I look upon you as Narayana as well as my sons." This indicates how her divine and human aspects merged in her life. In 1918, Suhasini went to see Holy Mother at Udbodhan house with her friend Charula, later Bharati Prana. She lived in Bagbazar, so she visited the mother quite often with her little daughter Shanti. One day, Suhasini went to Udbodhan house without Shanti because the little girl was restless and would disturb others. When the mother heard this, she said, "Well, I never feel that she disturbs me. Moreover, it is the nature of small children to be a little naughty. Look at Radu, how much she disturbs me. Her mother is mad. I have to face all of her problems and demands, and her demands are endless and some are meaningless. There is a Bengali saying, 'I shall make the wet sugar dry and the dry sugar wet and then eat it.' This is the kind of demand that Radu has. If her demands are not fulfilled, she will shout and cry. I cannot tell you how many slaps and blows I have received from Radu. Radu's ill treatment of me greatly upset my mother. Sometimes she would grumble and say, 'You did not have a child of your own. I don't understand how you maintain your smiling face while taking on all the troubles of others.' I would then console my mother with some pleasing words. Then Holy Mother kept quiet. Another woman devotee said with a smile, 'Mother, if Grandma were alive today, she might have been irritated. Now so many men and women are calling you mother, mother, and disturbing you. Though we are not born from your womb, that does not mean that we are not your children.' Immediately the mother stood up and said firmly, 'What did you say? That you were not born from my womb? Then from whose womb were you born? Are you not my children? Then whose children are you? Is there any mother other than me? I exist in all women and in all mothers. Those who come to me from any place are my children. Know it for sure and certain. Those who come to me, calling me mother, they are all my children.' My mother understood this toward the end of her life when she saw Naren, Rakal, Sharat, Sarada, Yogan, Niranjan, Girish, and Nivedita. My mother was so happy when she heard them calling me mother. She used to say, 'Ah, finally Mother Durga has fulfilled my wish. My Sarada now has so many children. When they call me grandma, my heart is satisfied. I can't express my joy when they ask me for something to eat or when they talk and tell me their stories. My mother gave them puffed rice and sweet balls, and they ate with great relish. She watched them and she laughed. At that time, I saw great joy and satisfaction on her face. Then there were not too many women devotees, and very few could go to Jairambati. By the time the women devotees began to visit Jairambati, my mother had passed away, but she left with great joy, seeing me as mother. That's quite intense. I mean, she was very serious about that. I wasn't reading it with the intensity I felt like I should. You know, that when that woman questioned her being their mother, we weren't born of your womb. And she very sternly, oh, what is this? You don't think you were born of my womb. You know, she's the mother of the universe. We're all born of the universe. You know, that's a piece we really miss these days. Even in the Vedanta, we talk only about the self inside, but even these bodies, you know, are born of the universe, fed from the earth, you know, raised on the food that this universe provides. And the Divine Mother is that universe, is that providing hand that takes care of everything, that gives birth to everything, that nurtures everything. She's that light that grows the trees and the vegetables, you know, that all of us eat and survive on. There's a bigger way of understanding this, a way that's true for souls, a way that's true in a very high kind of way for us. To walk with the mother, in the mother, through the mother, telling our stories that she likes. She likes to hear what's going on in our life. Endless patience, constantly looking and insisting on helping. I do bow to the divine guru who imparts to the disciple the fire of self-knowledge and burns away the bonds of karma accumulated through many births. It is extremely important to understand the concept of the guru and his or her role in awakening spiritual consciousness. According to the Vishwashara Tantra, Gu means darkness or ignorance, and Ru means remover or destroyer. In other words, the person who removes ignorance or the veil of Maya from the minds of the disciples is a guru. Human beings suffer because of ignorance, and this ignorance can be banished only by the knowledge of God. Vedanta says that people are hypnotized by Maya. They must learn to dehypnotize themselves with self-knowledge, which leads to liberation. Ramakrishna described the role of a guru with this parable. Once, a tigress attacked a flock of goats. As she sprang on her prey, she gave birth to a cub and died. The cub grew up in the company of the goats. The goats ate grass, and the cub followed their example. They bleated, the cub bleated too. Gradually, it grew to be a big tiger, and one day another tiger attacked the same flock. It was amazed to see the grass-eating tiger. Running after it, the wild tiger at least seized it, whereupon the grass-eating tiger began to bleat. The wild tiger dragged it to the water and said, "Look at your face in the water. It's just like mine. Here's a little meat. Eat it." Saying thus, it thrust some meat into its mouth, but the grass-eating tiger would not swallow it and began to bleat again. Gradually, however, it got the taste for blood and came to relish the meat. Then the wild tiger said, "Now you see, there is no difference between you and me. Come along and follow me into the forest." So there can be no fear if the Guru's grace descends on one. He will let you know who you are and that what your real nature is. If the devotee practices spiritual discipline a little, the Guru explains everything to him. Then the disciple understands for himself what is real and what is unreal. God alone is real, and this world is illusory. That's a fantastic story. You know, first of all, a tiger is kind of cool. but that your divine nature is the whole point of all of this. Your guru only shows you what you are by teaching you how to dehypnotize. And so this idea that we don't have to accumulate anything more, that we carry into the shrine with us every day, all of the tools that we need for realization, right? It's just sitting there to accept it, trying to be dehypnotized. Dehypnotized from what? From this idea that we do, from this idea that we're responsible because we do. You see, this is this is the glue of our karma. The fact that we believe ourselves to be the doer, even though we're told again and again and again in the scriptures that we're not the doer, we always still assume that we're the one doing. We even sit down and treat our practices that way. It's like how much patience Mother must have for us. She tells us again and again, it's my job. I'm the mother. It's my job to clean you up. You are not the doer. All of this, and yet we still hold on, wanting to take care of all of our own stuff, wanting to do it our way, wanting to make our decisions, and forgetting this very beautiful and important point, a point of faith, a point for us to understand that the whole universe is rooting for us. I mean, that's the meaning of the mother. That's the meaning of the divine mother. The whole universe is conspiring to your freedom. If you just really become a listener, just come sit in your shrine and just stay there. Stay there in that silence. How quickly she could do this work for us. How quickly she could move us forward in this divine play. It's just like the little kid. I remember watching a little kid who was getting his diaper changed. He kept grabbing the diaper himself and causing all kinds of trouble for the mother trying to get that thing. That was back in the days when they were still using safety pins on diapers. She was trying to get the safety pin done up. That kid wouldn't stop grabbing the diaper and pulling on the corner. And really, that's you and I, trying to do our own thing, trying to sit and trying to meditate, trying to realize God, trying to do anything as if there's anything to be done in a realm that we don't understand at all. We're sitting here using our minds to handle our practice and using our minds to handle our growth and to try and direct ourselves to the mother. And nothing can fit in the mind. God can't fit in the mind. Your nature can't fit in the mind. The divine mother can't fit. Advaita can't fit in the mind. It's like none of the most important things even fit in our mind. And yet we're insisting, going up there with our little wind-up toy saying, here, I'm going to ride this to realization, Mom. And what does she do? She picks it up and winds it up and says, yes, yes, here, ride it to realization. Playing along and just loving us in every step of that way. But we've read some amazing things about this intimacy that Mother feels for us. I mean, this divine other, however we refer to it, everything that's on the other side of our little picket fence of ego is the divine, whatever name we give that. And Mother is saying it's her, and that she is our mother. She has given birth to us. And so to understand that we are as body cells, as body mind cells, that we are a product of this universe. As the self, we're the container of it, right? So both depending on where we're placing our awareness. If we're placing our awareness in the world, then it is the mother. We're placing our awareness inside of Mother, and here she is running after us to give us these things, to show us these things. And all we've got to do is surrender to that. Just turn to her with a smile, that little twinkle you can put in your eye with that love you feel inside for the divine. And look at her and say, Ma, do whatever you need to do. Please, please. Let me come. Let me come home. And just start your evening worship like that, and then just sit in her presence. Know that you're being held. Know that you're being considered. Know that she knows everything. That she lives your life before you do. That you're actually aware of yourself after she is aware of you. right? That it is that intimate of a relationship, that her devotion to you is that deep and that meaningful. A human guru who is a knower of God and an illumined soul plays a vital role in spiritual life. Of course, the real guru is Satchitananda, or God, which is that divine principle that's been placed in your heart, in the shrine of your heart. You know, I see it as probably, I don't know, some trinket on the wall or some image on the shrine that is that divine, I don't know, sounding box. Whatever holiness is in its presence, it resounds, it amplifies that signal, you know, it reverberates with that signal. Of course, the real guru is Satchitananda, that image of God within you, or God, and the spiritual light or power comes from him alone. But when this divine power manifests through some extraordinary illumined souls, they become gurus and have the power to illuminate others, just as a lighted candle can light other candles. However, there are false prophets and self-styled gurus in this world. The Katha Upanishad warns us about them. Fools dwelling in darkness, but thinking themselves wise and erudite, go round and around by various tortuous paths, like the blind led by the blind. The Hindu scriptures testify that the divine power does not become fully manifest in the guru till his or her raw ego is completely wiped out. When this limited I-ness is annihilated, right, this identity with body, mind, and doership, when that gets annihilated, the person becomes an instrument of the cosmic I, right? Because your mind and the cosmic mind become united when your ego dies, when your ego gets worn down to just a nub. Then the thoughts of your mind and the thoughts of the universal mind are the same. And things begin to happen, you know, seemingly by power emanating from you. But it's not that way. It's happening, it looks that way because finally your sense of being has been freed of me and mine. And you're now having the same thoughts as the universe. You're in perfect sync. You're coming into harmony with that universe, with that oneness. And so you begin, the will of the universe seems to follow you around. It seems that the things that you pray for happen. And, you know, fortunately, this comes very, when we're very far along in our practice, we don't get that egotistical idea of doership at that point. At that point, it just becomes a sweetness, just a constant reassurance of the presence of the Divine Mother. When this limited I-ness is annihilated, that person becomes an instrument of the cosmic I, or of the Divine Mother. So the power of the guru is not human. It is the Divine Mother's special power that possesses the guru's body and mind. Regarding the identity of guru consciousness with God consciousness, the Guru Gita proclaims, the guru is Brahma, the guru is Vishnu, the guru is Shiva. I bow down to the guru who removes the darkness of ignorance from the eyes with the collyrium stick of knowledge. The compassionate Lord removes ignorance and delusion from human minds through the divine power of the guru. This is why devotion to the guru and devotion to God are the same. The Svetasvatara Upanishad says, he is truly a great soul who has the highest devotion for God and as much devotion for his guru as for God. The truths explained to such a person will surely reveal their meaning to him. Interesting way of saying that, isn't it? That's a rather interesting sentence. The mystery, the truths explained to such a person will surely reveal their meaning to him. You see, even in that, you're not the doer. That your understanding is coming from the power of the scripture, from the power of the guru, not from your own ability to think or contemplate or figure it out on your own. Look at those words. The truths explained to such a person, right? So if your guru reads to you some scripture, reads to you some truths from the scriptures, The truths explained to such a person will surely reveal their meaning to him. Right? So it's the scriptures themselves that reveal their meaning to us. It's because they are an element of the universal guru, that Satchitananda. They are a direct distillation of Satchitananda. And so there's power in that. The mystery of God, or the Atman, is unfathomable because it is beyond thought and speech. Right? So we'll get that's validated. That these things can't fit in the mind. And the specific reason, I always like the specifics of it, just so it doesn't get too oovy groovy, like, ooh, why can't that happen? But we can know. It's because these things can't fit in the mind because of our 3 sets of triads, which all of you should have memorized by now. I could go on and on and on about them. Right? The 3 things necessary for something, for a thought. It needs time, space, causation. It needs subject, object, verb. It needs past, present, and future. Right? For the mind to operate on an idea, it has to have those 3 triads, or one of those 3 triads anyway, so that it can be conceived. The mind can't conceive of anything that doesn't have that triad. So as soon as we talk about one without a second, or Advaita, or we talk about an infinity, the mind cannot conceive of it. It can come up with thoughts that point at it, right? But it can't come up with the thing itself. The mystery of God, or the Atman, is unfathomable because it is beyond thought and speech. That is why one needs an illumined guru who can show the way. The Katha Upanishad says, wonderful is the expounder and rare the hearer. Rare indeed is the experiencer of the Atman taught by the able preceptor. There are many gurus or spiritual teachers in the world, but as manifestations of God's power, all gurus are the same. At the outset of the spiritual journey, one should have love, faith, and steadfast devotion for one's own guru, and follow his or her instructions implicitly. Later in the advanced stage, one will realize this truth. Manata Sri Jagannatha Mad Guru Sri Jagat Guru. My Lord is the Lord of the universe, and my Guru is the Guru of this world. Despite this sublime teaching, some narrow-minded fanatics develop guru cults and think their guru is greatest. Without understanding the main purpose of the guru, they create various factions and fight to prove the supremacy of their respective gurus. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine, actually, because this has followed me all through Christianity, and even here, in Christianity took care of it sort of by getting rid of gurus altogether. But even in the scriptures, there's arguments in the early days of the Christian church, who you were baptized by, who was your teacher, who was your guru, same argument. And some were saying, oh, I'm of Peter, and some are saying, oh, I'm of Paul. And so, I'm from John, right? You see how we let ego infect our religion, and our religion then starts becoming about gurus. And I say this because, here in our Vedanta centers, people are always running around asking who your guru is. That's nobody's business. There's one guru. That's the truth. Thakur is one guru. He's everybody's guru. Who cares what face he was using when he blessed you, when he gave you your mantra, and when he set you on the path? So think twice before asking people who their guru is. We are Thakur's children, Holy Mother's children. We don't belong to anybody else but that one guru. And that's what draws all of us together. And it gets even bigger than that, because that guru is Jesus, that guru is Buddha, that guru is Rama, that guru is Chaitanya. There is but one God, one superpower, as it were, that's manifesting as all of this for us. And when we hear these things, we should start talking accordingly, start speaking in truth, So we don't ask each other who's our guru, who our gurus are. What good could drive that question, Why would someone need to know who your guru is? And why would I feel the need to boast about mine, and telling people who they are? It's like that's just not the place to be. And it's a small thing. It's not like it's a big deal, but ego infects starting very small. Viruses are very small, but they can kill a person. And so these things, even though they're small, we should keep them in mind. Don't give egoism any opportunity. I remember, yeah, this is kind of a funny story of my first week in the monastery. It's my first couple of days in the monastery. um, you know, breakfast and lunch, we all had to be at the dining table for that. All the monks would eat together. But evening meals, we were allowed to grab our own. And so I went shopping, grocery shopping with Greg at the time, Tiagisha Chaitanya. And we went and got, I guess we were one of these, I don't know where we went, Trader Joe's or something. Anyway, I picked up a whole bunch of these frozen dinners, these pre-made frozen dinners. And I put them all in the freezer, just like books. They were all on their side, just all lined up in the freezer there for all of my grab my own dinners at night. And Swami Prabhupada came in and opened the freezer just for whatever reason. And he stood there with the refrigerator open or freezer open for a minute, looking at it. And I was in the kitchen, I don't know, doing something, washing dishes or something. And he said, what is this? I said, what, Maharaj? He said, this. And he flung the door open and showed this big rack of books that I was going to have for dinners. He said, what is that? I said, oh, Maharaj, yeah, Greg told me that our evening meals, we can grab our own food. And so I just grabbed a whole bunch of ready-made meals today. And he looked at me and says, see, no, 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 this is not good. You should make your own food that you want to eat. He says, you see, and this is my point here. He said, you see, tamas, inertia, laziness, is always trying to get into the monastery. We must guard every door. And it made a real big point to me. I was like, aha, these vices, these big problems always start as very small, insignificant things. We don't think that it's such a big deal, Oh, I can do that. That's not a big deal. You're right, not a big deal. But once you get the habit that, the next thing bigger won't be a big deal because you're already giving into the smaller deal. And you see, it's just a succession of smaller deals built one upon the other until you're messing with things that really are going to take you out, really are going to hurt your spiritual life. And so, this idea of the guru, of egoism, walking around talking and asking who's each other's guru is, small thing, not a big thing. It's like a row of frozen food in the freezer, not a big deal. But you see, ego is always poking at the gates to find its way in. And we should make sure that it is not allowed in at any level, because if it gets in through the small, it eventually becomes big, and we get beaten by it. So take these small examples, these small things that don't seem important, and be very faithful with them. Because the scriptures say, "He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much." And so, if you take care of the small stuff, Mother will take care of the big stuff. And when she knows, that's all right, Bindu, be well. So there's these taking these small things seriously and watching the small stuff, then mother can trust us. We demonstrate our faithfulness in the small stuff, then Mother makes us responsible for more stuff. She can bring you people that then bring you her children to help out. Like we used to babysit our brothers and sisters. If you're the oldest brother, I used to do that when I was a kid. Babysit my brothers. Anyway, you see, this is how Mother teaches. So we'll stop there for tonight.